about tonight are request types, and they all derive from action results. So if you notice on the code, by default they're sending back action result. You can also change these that are sending back views. These can be view results. But all this is just doing is defining what kind of information that is going to be sent back, because your methods don't necessarily always go back to your browser anyway. Like I said, if you're doing Ajax, a lot of times you're sending JSON back to send the information and so forth. Just for example, you see there you got file result, content result. JSON result is the one, well, I guess typically we leave most of action result unless you have something special. But I've given an example over here of check this out. I don't think I need it. Yeah. All right. So I've given an example of of a JSON result. And so all I've done, this forgot view model is one of the things that it generates automatically. I just needed some kind of model. And then the only field that it has in there is an email. So all this will do is just spit out your JSON into your browser. So this is nothing fancy, but just showing the example of the different kind of data that's going to send back. So here, you know, when we go through in contact, it returns the view. It goes and gets that HTML file and spits it back out. And hopefully there's some sort of formatting to and information. But if we go here, yes?
I have a question.
Sure.
Why did we even convert it to a JSON model? Why couldn't we just send the entire JSON? We could have just.
You could have. Simply just to show the difference, like what it actually looks like when it comes back. Yeah, because with the view, you know, it's going to spit out like a nice little. I'm sorry. When you send back the view, it's going to actually do the formatted HTML and stuff. This is actually going to spit out a real like.
Leave it
That was the model. Hold on. Sorry. I think I was trying to do this in
Don't forget to supply the control.
oh, thank you. You think that's what I did wrong?
Yeah, I think it just couldn't find it. No, I mean that will be a problem too.
Okay, I was like, all right then.
Do we, yeah.
What do you know?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I haven't a Yahoo account.
Did you just admit that
We need
Tiffany's
to
your mom
talk.
now?
No.
Did you say we? Carrie has a Yahoo account too.
So we go.
Called out. Hi. I did such a cute little thing before where I actually created this post and had it pull information back, and it had no problems whatsoever, but I didn't want to have to do that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you can see, I mean, it's just spinning out your straight JSON right there. So it's sending that back. So a lot of times that's what you want to consume, like over, like in your Ajax requests and things like that. So.
So did this actually touch a view before it got rendered, or is it just come directly from the controller?
It should just be coming directly from the controller without actually going through a view.
Okay.
So, so this is a way, Stephen, if you want to spit it back, without actually having to use a view. And it by default, I mean, like it'll do this for you. It'll like convert it over to JSON and spit that out in that format. So,
And if you just use like a model, like just send a model and?
Yeah, and that's actually where I pulled this from, like the, this right here. I was just playing around with it, but I created a model. I went ahead and created an actual model and then created a view based on it, and then I sent it. And so it was passing that in, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna use that model because we're not talking about models yet. And so, well, we can look at a more defined example on Monday, but it was really contrived just to show you the difference between what it looks like as opposed to returning a view, which is you're going to do your, depending on how well you write HTML and CSS for basically.
But can we just not directly use, like, can you pull that up in the browser the way it printed? It came out in the,
Here.
like, but we have curly braces and it says email, and so, but if you just want to use this value and we implement it somewhere else with more formatting, how do we do that?
You could, like, just send it back just as text or something like that?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I'm sending a JSON value, but I want to
Okay.
use it, like, let's say, I'm collecting a list of people and then I want to print it here. But
Uh-huh.
because I'm trying to send it as a JSON value,
Right.
you know, the entire list. And I want it to be printed as a drop down or something. So we just implement, okay, take that JSON value and just print it, right? So
Okay.
it will come as those curly brackets. I mean, this is
That-
not the right format that I wanted.
Right, because, and we're not passing it, we're not taking it to any kind of like formatting at all. You can do that in a view. You can take a view and then format it as much as you want. I just wanted to show what it looked like when you sent back like
Okay.
plain JSON. And you
Okay.
can take plain JSON and send it back like,
As a text, convert it to the text and.
yeah, and also, I mean, we do this a lot with our, like in our Ajax requests. We just take that information and send it back into your JavaScript, and you can do anything, you know, you can perform whatever there as well. So this is just showing what it looks like plain without any kind of formatting at all. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So do you have any questions? So we have a little assignment for you tonight. I don't think it's gonna take very long. Switch back here. Yes. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What are the can you go over the
Maybe.
there's like the forget view model thing in Visual Studio?
Oh. Yep. Say that
what's
one more
that
time.
forgot view model again?
Oh, all that is just a class that's generated by default. I just use it as an example. I just needed to get a model, rather. I could have, it could have been anything, but I just needed something that had some property in it so that I could access it and spit it back out.
Okay.
So that was just thrown in there off the spur of the moment. So I could have just done anything there. So it just was one that had something easy to access. It was the email. It came actually with, the reason that model is there is it was one of the models that was.
If you like forgot your password or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's the model that you use if.
For account recovery.
Yep. Right there. Oh, not right there. Right there. You see, it's just, and here's those attributes we were talking about that you can decorate with them. It says, hey, this is required if you're gonna send it in. And we'll talk about all that Monday. So that's all that was. It was just a model that had already been created, and I just grabbed it and used it. Sorry.
Just like, because there's like a little bit of time, it might be useful to go in and show like, because we didn't get to see it because you were on the wrong screen, to show like the template options, because it's fairly important, like why those were generated. Like when you create an MVC project.
Oh, okay. So you want to just create a new one?
Yeah, just to see.
Remember how long that took?
Mere seconds.
Mere minutes out of
Your
our life.
geologic time, like no different.
What? Alright. That's an awesome picture that we took in Iceland. Has nothing to do with programming at all. Just waiting for this to load. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure that I know exactly what you're talking about, but is this what you mean when you got to
The
choose
next-
about the?
Yeah, the next
Okay.
one will have authorization. So like when you're going through this and you're setting up an MVC template, one of the options, she
Yeah,
says
here
she
you go.
wants to do a web application.
Right, we're gonna do, and that tells it that we're doing, ASP.NET, a web application, and then we choose MVC here. And then over here, you have the change authentication button. And so you can select this, and you can tell it no authentication, and it will not put all that junk in there for you. But I did individual user accounts, and what this does, this manages all the controllers and so forth, so that by default you can create users and roles and things like that in your account, and it sets it up for you so that you don't have to do it on your own. And I'll show you what it looks like once this finishes loading.
Stay tuned.
Do the hammer. Okay. So, yeah. So if I run this, and I'm straight out of the box, I haven't added anything to it. This is a whole brand new project. It's not the old one that I was screwing around with. Okay. So if you see here, it has the register and login, and this stuff is just pre-built in. So you can, I'm sorry?
I said and working.
Yes, and functional, right? I can.
Yeah, by default, they're gonna like set up a little local database for you, and they're gonna do a bunch of stuff out of the gate. So this is another instance of a really good example. This isn't gonna be super applicable to what we do at CAPS, because CAPS has its own user management system. But just for, in terms of like real life application, this is a really important part of web applications, is the user management side. So this, like out of the box, the template provides a lot of stuff that you can go look at and see what are they doing, how are they doing it. There's no magic, they're just wiring it up for you.
Yeah.
So just as a side note.
Nope, I'll put one in there. There we go. Yep, please remember that password. So I put my email address in instead of my user ID because I wasn't paying attention. So, so now it says hello to me7250@yahoo.com. That's a very long name. So all this stuff is built in. I can log off, and then I can log back in. Cannot pick that up and move it. All right, and I told it to remember my password, so it knows me, and now I can log back in. So I'm authenticated. So, and again, that's in that authorize button to the side. You can control whether or not you want that included. If you are not going to use it, pull it out and don't put that bloat in your project. So
like for CAPS, we say we don't want any authentication because we're gonna have
We
to hook
manage
up to caps lock. So,
right.
and you know, as you guys like go more into it, I'm sure you'll get familiar with it. Everybody has to, so
Yeah.
but might not be super applicable to CAPS specifically, but definitely is an important part of web applications.
All right. So for your assignment tonight, I know we've been bringing laptops every weekend. I mean, every night so far, and this will be the first time we get to really use them in here. But this is just a little assignment that you should be able to complete before we go tonight. So we just want you to create an MVC file application. Everybody was able to install 2013, right? Because that was one of the things that Valerie sent out that we needed to do. All right. And this is just set up to manage an address book. Don't worry about all the extra stuff that we have. We're going to add to this Monday night. So, but tonight we're just going to kind of set this up. And so you want to make sure that your controller has a way for you to access pages for adding a new entry, displaying the entire address book, and searching for specific entries. To be clear, it doesn't have to do all of this. We just have to have the actions that say it's going to do that. So it shouldn't take long. So, and then since it's Friday, we'll be done. Assume we can stop recording now.